Nottingham, known for Robin Hood, its castle and cave system,
and Britain's oldest pub. And Britain's oldest pub. And a pub that claims to be Britain's oldest pub. But how can three pubs claim the same title? Oldest is an objective fact, not an opinion. So, which is it?
If you take it at face value, the Bell Inn claims to have opened in 1437, Ye Olde Salutation Inn claims 1240, and Ye Olde Trip to Jerusalem claims 1189.
So there we go, done and dusted, we have our answer. Except, do we?
I thought we'd get to learn the history of each, and find out why the title can technically go to any of the three depending on how you define the word oldest. Starting with Ye Olde Trip to Jerusalem.
So behind these walls is supposedly two paranormal objects. There's the pregnancy chair, whose name is quite self-explanatory. Supposedly any woman who sits in the chair will soon become pregnant. And the cursed galleon, who folklore has it that the last three people to touch it have mysteriously passed away. Of course, the chair has no scientific backing, and the galleon is just a story with no evidence supporting it. But it's still a cool story.
We weren't allowed to film inside the pubs, meaning we couldn't have a drink at each location, but at least that means my speaking skills won't deplete with each location.
Richard I supposedly came here for one of his pit stops on the Third Crusade.
Which is where the name actually comes from. Trip doesn't mean destination in this context, it means stop or break.
But despite that story coming from 1189, the building seems to actually only date to the 1650s, which would make it the newest of the three. But the cave system underneath, that's a different story.
They're recorded as being used for brewing as far back as 1067. That's an almost 1,000 year connection to alcohol.
Right, should we head to the next one?
All of these three pubs are within a 5-minute walk of each other, which made travel pretty easy for this video. The second stop in this journey is Ye Olde Salutation Inn.
This is supposedly one of Britain's most haunted pubs, if you believe the old landlord, who claimed there are 89 resident ghosts. That's basically a small village of ghosts in there. Speaking of old landlords, there's said to be a curse among the ones named John here, with 3 separate landlords named John all dying in 3 separate ways. The first through hanging, the second through rat poisoning after handling rat poison and then making food, and the third by falling down the cellar stairs, although only the rat poison story appears to be verifiable.
I'm about to say a word very slowly, because I had no idea how to say it. Dendrochronology is the word I'm trying to say in this next clip, which is the method of dating wood using tree rings.
The building itself is generally considered to be the oldest of the three, with the timber being dated to 1360 through dendrochronology. Although this side of the building just looked like a standard British building. Although it wasn't originally a pub, and it had no connection to alcohol, it originally opened as a tanner's workshop.
Finally, onto the final of the three. Bell Inn.
This pub actually survived the 1831 Goose Fair riots, where more than 12,000 people systematically set fire to Nottingham Castle. I've also got to say, I was surprised not to see a Ye Olde sign in front of this one, considering this seems to actually be Britain's oldest pub. That's right, it's not the oldest building, and it's not got the oldest connection to alcohol, but it is the first documented alehouse dating to 1539. So, by the most obvious definition of the word, this is Britain's oldest pub.
But are we always talking about the most obvious definition of words?
So, between the three, one has the oldest building, one has the oldest connection to alcohol, and one is the oldest traditional alehouse. Now, I think we've earned the right to go inside and have a drink.